Hello everyone, this is Jared from JRAD Production Studios, and today I want to go ahead and count down all of the LEGO Star Wars Summer 2020 sets. Now I know I said that I wasn't going to be talking about them anymore until release, but you know what, I was hard pressed for a video and I thought this would be a good one, and I just really want to give my full ranking, and not really an analysis, but just what the best ones are and what the obvious worst ones are. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't already, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get started counting down our list. Alright, starting out at the last spot here on the list, we have set number 75286, the General Grievous Starfighter. There's just not a whole lot that's great that I can say about this thing. The build itself looks alright. I don't think this would be a bad set, but it's the fact that it was so overhyped by so many people with the rumored Commander Cody, and the price point is what really set this one at the last spot for me. $80 for this thing is just not worth it. Again, we're going to consider multiple factors other than just the set and minifigures themselves here in ranking this, so if you do like this set, I apologize that I have this one at the very last spot, because I do like it myself. There's just too many issues with it, and out of all the Summer 2020 sets, I think this has the most issues, and that's why this finds itself on the last spot of the list, even though there aren't really many, if any, bad sets from the Summer 2020 wave. Now coming in at the next spot, we have set number 75317. Again, not a bad little set here. This is the Mandalorian and the Child brick heads, and I'm just not a big fan of brick heads, just because there's no real major displayable purpose for them, and there's not really any play features, so it just doesn't appeal to a whole large group of people, because either a set is displayable or it is playable, and I get this as more of a display piece, but I just don't really get the sort of appeal and having not really that to scale figures. So again, not a bad thing, and I like the I especially like the Baby Yoda figure there with the sort of portable crib it's got. But again, not terrible. I don't think it's as good as some of the other sets on the list. Coming in at the next spot on the lower side of the rankings, we have set number 75279. This is the Star Wars Advent Calendar for 2020, and now this was rumored to be a really special Advent Calendar this year. This is supposed to be the best one in a long time, and to be fair, it does introduce a lot of cool new things. We have a lot of decent figures there, and we also have the Lucre Hulk starship, which was the first time we ever got one of those in LEGO, the Separatist ship, the control ship that is. The issue for me is just there's a lack of diversity in the set. There's just a lack of spanning all the eras. It just felt like another rehash sequel effort to me, and again, I'm just not a big fan of the sequels. However, that doesn't mean the Advent Calendar itself is bad. I think it could have included a little bit more original trilogy or prequel era figures or designs or whatnot. And again, I think this is a good Advent Calendar. I think it is one of the better ones we've had in a while. That's my personal opinion. I just don't, again, think this ranks as high as some of the other playable sets here. Alright, and the next set is a set that I was pretty big on at the start. This is set number 75284, the Knights of Ren transport ship. For $70, I thought it was a really great design, and I really liked what they did with it, even though it only comes with 3 minifigures, which I think is a downside. What really moved the ranking back for me is once the official images were released, everyone realized that you can't quite fit all of the Knights of Ren in there, and the inside is just really crammed. And again, I think the outside of the ship is great. I just think the play features are not excellent, which I would not buy this set for that anyways. I would buy it for display purpose. Regardless, I don't think I will be getting this set, but I do think this is a decent set. I think it ranks decently well in the grand scheme of Star Wars sets. But again, with the Summer 2020 wave, most of these sets are good anyways, and don't think I'm hating on this set because I actually do like this one quite a bit. Coming in at the next spot and kind of rounding out the sort of lower half of the Summer 2020 sets, I have the new brick art for the Sith sort of sketches, the mosaic art that is going to be released August 1st, at least in Europe. It might be later in the United States, but I like these designs quite well. They come with a lot of pieces for the price, but again, that's just because there's so many smaller pieces in there. But I really do like the idea. I do like how it's just something new and refreshing that we haven't seen in a while in LEGO. And I don't really get a lot of the complaints about the color being off, because if you have a glow like the color that is shined, it's going to leave the opposite shadow. So, of course, there's a red glow on Vader. It's going to leave a blue shadow, or should I say, a bluish-gray shadow on his black armor. That's just how lighting works. So I don't think this was a bad idea. I think it's actually pretty decent. And again, Not as good as the other ones, but it still is not a bad set regardless. Alright, and here's where the sets really start to pick up for me. Some of the sets that I really started to like. Starting off, we have set number 75293, the Resistance ITS Transport. Now, I really like the design of this ship. I like how it's kind of a mix of the Tantive 4, or at least the U-Wing and the Tantive 4. It's sort of a beefier version of the both. But I like this set quite a bit. I don't like the minifigure selection a whole lot. Again, that just could be because of the park that this is from doesn't have a whole lot of named characters or whatever. But still, I think they could have included some more minifigures. Regardless, I think this is a great set. I really like the design of it. The price is a little bit steep. It's $100. It comes with 932 pieces, so it's not terrible. But again, this was a set that none of us were expecting that actually turned out to be pretty decent in my opinion. It doesn't quite make up for the ATTE that was rumored, but regardless, I still think it's a pretty decent set. The next set on the list is set number 75291 in my personal ranking. I think this is better than all the ones before it. I'm going to try to not judge this based on the fact that it's a remake. I know it's a remake. I know some people don't like it as much for that reason. But still, you get some really good minifigures with this. You get 5 minifigures for $100, which is kind of a little bit of a classic right there. Normally, you don't get that many figures anymore, so that's good to see. And again, that's because of the fact that it is a remake, as I mentioned before. But it's still a pretty decent set. I like the design of it. It's a little bit different from the 2015 one. But again, if this was its own set, having never had 2015, I think this would have ranked higher on the list. But again, try not to judge it based on the fact that it is a remake. It is still a decent set, and it still, to me, ranks higher than all of the other ones. Alright, up next we have set number 75281. This is Anakin's Jedi Interceptor. Now, this might be a set that you are surprised to see ranked so high, but I was really big on the set at the start just because I sold my 2014 model. And again, I think this is a set that could have done the Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter instead, but I missed out on this set the last couple times it was released, just because, again, I didn't buy the 2012 green version, and then I sold my 2014 version, so I definitely will be buying this set. I think I could have included a couple more minifigures, and frankly, maybe this shouldn't be ranked so high on the list. Maybe it is a little bit worse than the other ones, but again, I don't think it's a bad set. I think the design might actually be a little bit better than 2014. I would have liked to see this come with something unique, whether that be a Captain Rex minifigure, or whether that be another remake of the green version from Episode 3. Regardless, it's a decent set. It just doesn't quite rank as high as the ones we're going to get to in a moment. Alright, and coming into our top 4 sets here, I'm going to start this off with set number 75283, the Armored Assault Tank, or the AAT. Now, this is a really anticipated set, and I think everyone got the minifigures they were hoping for with the 332nd Trooper and the Ahsoka, of course, and then those 2 battle droids actually aren't just a rehash from the Kashyyyk. They actually are AET pilots from the actual Clone Wars, so those figures do belong in there, even though it doesn't seem like it. The reason why this doesn't rank higher than a couple of the other ones is just because the design of the AET is a little off to me. It seems a little bit stubby. Granted, I understand why, because I have one of the older AATs, and because it's so sort of bulky in the back because it's so long, it falls over quite easily. So I get why they would want to make this a little bit smaller. However, I just feel like the panels on the side and the front just don't flow with what the model actually should look like. But the more I've looked at images, the more it has grown on me. For some people, it's been getting worse. For me, it's been getting a little bit better. So I still think this is a decent set, but it's really the minifigures that place it where it is. At number 3, we have set number 75288, the AT-AT. Now, this was a set, I have to admit, I was totally wrong about. At first, when I first saw the box art image, I absolutely hated the thing. I thought it just looked off. I thought it looked terrible. But upon further consideration, I really like the thing. I really like the design of it. I get that it doesn't look as sort of to scale as some of the older ones, but that could be the fact that the design that I have in my mind is just sort of predisposed and biased to the older models that were released long before this. So I think this is actually a decently accurate model, and especially the minifigures. You get 6 minifigures with this thing, which is pretty decent. The only issue for me, again, is the price point. $160 isn't that great, in my opinion. I think it is about $20, $30 off. I think this thing should be about $130. Maybe even $140, but $160 seems a bit steep for me, so this might not be a set I buy right away. This might be something I wait for, but it definitely seems like the best play features for an AT that we've had of all time, especially the Troop Bay and such, and fitting all 3 minifigures, the 2 pilots, and General Veers in the cockpit. Great addition, and all around just really great set for summer 2020 for the 40th anniversary for The Empire Strikes Back. Now, at number 2, at this point, you guys probably have this narrowed down to the last 2 sets, And not to leave you with any suspense any longer, the number 2 spot actually has to go to the Razor Crest for me. Now, I don't think this is quite as big, in my opinion, or as anticipated as the next set, but I still think this is going to be one of the sets that just is worth a ton of money in the future. Again, I didn't say this yet. It's set number 75292. Now, this retails for $130 with only about 1,000 pieces, so you can say it's a little bit steep. But again, I just want you to consider the fact that the Ghost that was released in about 2014, if I'm not wrong, or maybe, no, that's 2015, excuse me, 2015. That set goes for a lot of money, at least $400 sealed, so this is also going to be an anticipated set, especially for the Baby Yoda minifigure. So if you really want to get this thing, I definitely recommend you get it before it is retired, because it will be worth a lot. And again, this is great that LEGO is listening to what is in demand, and this set is definitely in demand. The Razor Crest is definitely more popular than most other vehicles right now. And at the number 1 spot, as you guys probably guessed at this point, is set number 75280, the 501st Legion's Clone Trooper, or as we know it, the 501st Battle Pack. Now, this was a set that I was a little bit skeptical of at first, even though I was excited. It just, to me, the printing of the figures looked a little bit off, and the fact that it was released April 1st, I was a little bit like, what's LEGO pulling here? But in the end, I absolutely love this thing. I love the Jet Trooper especially. That might be one of my favorite clone troopers of all time. And it's really hard to say what's going to happen with this thing. This is probably the most anticipated LEGO Star Wars set in at least 5 years. Maybe other than the, what was it called? The Millennium Falcon, the UCS version. Now this is a really anticipated set, honestly, and for that reason I bet you it's going to sell out pretty quick, or at least the first wave will sell out pretty quick, so within the first few weeks of release you might have some trouble finding this, but a month or so after, it should be out pretty steady. Now I'm just concerned about this retiring too fast because I want to buy a lot of these things. I want to get a lot of 501st Troopers, and of course, I feel like everyone likes the set at this point. The only downfall for me is the fact that the 501st don't have the blue arms. But I really like the set. I love the vehicles. For $30, you just can't go wrong with this thing. The 20th anniversary ATRT was the same price, and this was just such a better set, in my opinion. So this is an awesome set, and of course it's going to be on sale at other places, probably around $25 on Walmart or Target is my guess. So be sure to buy a lot of these things if you do like it, because they will be gone pretty quick, in my opinion. So that ultimately has to be the number 1 spot on my list. Now, I believe we covered all the summer 2020 sets, and maybe your ranking is a little bit different from me, but again, I just want to reiterate the fact that all of these sets I think are great. There are just few that I actually don't like. Really, should I say only one I don't like, and that's the Grievous Starfighter, which I still think is a decent set. I'm just not too thrilled with how it turned out in terms of how hyped up it was. So that's my personal ranking of it. Go ahead and let me know what your favorite summer 2020 sets are in the comment section down below. Again, if you have not already, go ahead and like and subscribe for more content like this. And as always, guys, have a great day. Thank you for viewing.